Okay, you guys, I'm gonna keep my eye on the like waiting room thing so I can let people in too as they pop in, but I wanted to get us going, respect everyone's time. Um, oh, what is that?
Now they'll automatically come in, but just now that you started the meeting.
Oh, okay, cool. So we are gonna be doing these weekly Zooms, you guys, as most of you know, every single Monday at 8:30 Eastern. I did the poll the other day, of what time works best, and it was split between 8, 8:30, and 9. So I just cut it in the middle and did 8:30. So what we're gonna be talking about today is that you have to choose to be successful. Okay, so I want you guys to like notebook, get ready to take notes. Mara and I are gonna share a couple different things, and then it's going to kind of go into the next month or so. You're going to have homework. We're going to have like plans for the next 4 weeks. Okay. But what we want to talk about is that so many times we hear from people, whether that's you guys on or other people, or even things we've said to ourselves, is that like, I wish I had more potentials. I wish I had more happening, right? Like, I just wish like there was more going on. And I think a lot of times we all choose to do this business, right? But we don't choose every day to actively work, right? Like when you have a full-time job, you have to go. You don't have a choice. Like you get your butt up and you go because your life depends on it, right? And I don't want to be dramatic and say the same thing for here because most of you, your life doesn't depend on this paycheck, right? But your hopes and dreams do. That extra does depend on this. And a lot of times we get caught up in the everyday things that we forget to choose this business. And the whole thing, this came about because I was working and I had done some things, right? But as it's easy on social media, I was on TikTok and I found myself scrolling. And it was like a split second that I had 1 second to decide if I was going to keep scrolling or if I was going to cut it right there and get back to doing what I needed to do. Okay. And I thought it was just so crucial to talk about because it's so easy in everyday life to sit there and be like, oh, I'll just watch Netflix. I'll work later. I'll do it tomorrow. Right. Or like, oh, I'll just do a little bit and then just call it a night. Right. And it's so easy to get caught up in that almost like slacker attitude. And I don't say that in like a mean way, but it's because I've been there of like, let's do it tomorrow. Right. We've all been there where you just don't want to. And I get it. But also, most of you guys do not want to keep living in the same financial situation you're in, right? You started this business because you want to live a different life. But to get from point A to point B, you have to do something different. And so we're going to talk about the 4 different things that you need to do every single day. And this next month, we're going to really dive into that. But Mariah started doing something that it's really funny that Jade asked Mariah, she was like, what did you do when you were like super uber successful with your previous company? And Mariah was like, well, I did this, this, and this. And Jade was like, okay, so why have you not done that in 6 years? Because you only did it in the first part of your business when she went from 0 to 10K in a month in
8 months.
8 months. Okay. With zero experience, zero anything, zero network, zero nothing. Okay. Like she started from ground zero, maybe negative level 1, right? Like she was in the basement. Okay. And she was doing this and she told me about it. And I want you to explain it, but I started doing it, you guys, and it was the biggest eye-opening thing, and I love it and hate it at the same time.
Yeah. So, I want to start with saying, like, we're talking making the choice to do your business. I think it's so important, whether it is like we're in a place where this is full time for us. So now that we have more on the table for that, like we have to show up different. But so many of you guys want to get there. The thing is you don't get full time income without showing up with like the full time mentality, not full time hours. Okay, I'm not asking for 40 hours from you guys. Okay, but you have to have that kind of tenacity. And it's so easy, like Courtney was saying, like when life happens. And so, in full transparency, like, and that's what I want to talk about it before I jump into this is last month was not it for me. Okay, like as in like 6 years, I've been in the industry for 6 years. There's not been one month that I've done less than I did last month. Okay. I found out we were pregnant with our second and we were trying, it was the plan, but it rocked my world and put me in a tailspin of depression. And like, I've been so sick. I've been trying all of these things and it's just been really, really hard. And I let that win. And I let that kind of be the thing all last month where I could work my business, but I don't feel like it. I could work my business, but I don't feel like it. I could, but I'm sad. I could, but I'm this. And like it showed in my enrollments and my team and my paycheck and everything because I was actively not choosing your business. Because that's the thing, guys, it doesn't happen by accident. There's not a, oh, it's the end of the month and crap, I didn't do anything. Like that was a decision you made. Like we don't want to own it, but you're where you are right now for the decision you made yesterday. You're where you are right now for the decisions you made last month. You didn't accidentally not hit your goals. You actively decided to prioritize something else above it. And it's not always this thing of like this black and white where we're realizing it. But when you give in a little bit and a little bit and a little bit, all of a sudden I went from finding out I was pregnant to being a little sad to feeling behind in work to sitting at the end of the month being like, I don't know what the heck I'm going to do because I can't recover from here. And it wasn't that I sat down at the end of the month and made a decision and I was like, well, dang, like I wish more would have happened. It was because I allowed one day where I didn't prioritize my business and I allowed the excuses to win. And then I allowed a second day. And then I allowed a third day because that's how excuses work. That's how the devil works. He comes in with these little bitty nuggets, little bitty moments where you're like, I could do this instead. And when you allow one, it turns to two, it turns to three. And taking that to then flip it back and get your ball rolling is so hard. So it's so important to catch it early. Because if you make one decision and then flip it, that's easy. If you make two decisions and then flip it, a little harder, but still easy. But once you hit like 10, 20, 30 days of making bad choices, you've now created a new habit in your business. You have to rewrite to get the ball rolling again. Not only are you now in a position where you've got to figure out how to get yourself going again, which, you know, an object in motion stays in motion, an object at rest, y'all wants to stay at rest, okay? So you have that struggle where you've got to get it going again, but now you're starting from negative. You don't have anything built behind you. So not only is it harder to start because you've allowed the excuses, it's harder to start because you're not going to see the reward because you don't have anything working with you. You literally are starting over. So I want to tell you guys, wherever you are right now, whether you're like, I let a couple bad choices happen today, it's been a couple days, couple weeks, 6 months, I want you to decide today is going to be the turning point. Today is going to be the point where you are going to get the ball in motion. Once we start the motion, it compounds. It gets easier. The results start coming, and it makes everything flow a little bit smoother. So the October 1st was my day one. My day was going to happen. I told myself, I got too late in September. I was like, there ain't nothing I can do here. I'm just going to be sad until the end of the day, and I'm going to let it go. And so October 1st hit, and I was like, doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm going to get it done. And so you can ask Courtney. I'm texting her. I go to bed early because, you know, I'm pregnant with a toddler, so we get to sleep where we can. And I've been texting her later than I normally up. I'm like, I'm sending the last messages. I'm going to get them done. I'm sending the last messages. I'm going to get the host to post up. And so literally, y'all, what I've been doing, I did with a previous company the first 8 months of my business. I had no experience in the industry. I didn't have an upline, so I didn't have someone to role model for me. I literally was like, let's just figure this thing out. And so this worked for me then. I don't know what happens. Sometimes success deludes our brain and lets us think that like, now we're good. Like now we got this. Ain't the case. So I'm back doing this for the first time since my first 8 months in business. And y'all, it's really just tracking. But I'm not just tracking my potentials, which we like to talk about. Like, you don't let anyone fall through the cracks. You write them down. But I think it's got to be more than that, especially if you're in a season where you haven't been doing all the things all the time. Like maybe you're perfect and maybe you're hitting all your goals and maybe you haven't made a single mistake. And if that's you, then like, that's good for you. Okay. But I'm gonna say that's not most of us. I know that sure as heck is not me. And so, especially when we're getting the ball rolling again, tracking what you're doing is important because it's like accountability for yourself. So literally what I'm writing down every day is I have like personal development stuff. I have like gratitude, affirmation, goals, that kind of thing. But then I am like numerically counting how many messages I send, how many host to post I get up, how many reels I get posted. Every single day. It's written down on my piece of paper. On the flip side, I have my potentials, okay? Every single day. And so what this is going to tell me, if I don't have an enrollment for a few days, and I'm like, dude, what the heck is happening? I can go back and I can be like, well, looky there. I didn't get but 2 hosts to post up for the last 3 days. That's probably got something to do with it. If I'm not getting hosts to post up and I'm like, what the heck is happening? I'm talking to everyone. I can go back and look for the last few days and be like, well, actually, I'm only getting 25 messages out. That's probably where it's coming from. And so it allows you to see, because you don't get the result magically. It's not like some of us are lucky and get customers and other people don't. It doesn't discriminate. Hard work doesn't discriminate. Any single one of us can do it. But a lot of times we trick ourselves into thinking we're doing more than we actually are. And so when you track the exact work you're doing, it allows you then, one, to find your number, and two, to see the result. Because most of you, unless you've been in the industry a long time, maybe you do, maybe you know your number. Like, how many conversations, active conversations back and forth, do you need a day to make sure you're actively enrolling 15 to 30 customers a month? For me, I know if I get 20 or 15 to 20 names a day, I will actively roll about 30 customers a month, if not more. And what about host to post? How many messages do you need to send to make sure you get 5 to 10 host to post every day? I know for me, that's 50 messages. I typically get 5 to 10 a day. How many host to post do you need to get up to be able to get at least 5 potentials from it? The thing is you're not going to know these numbers if you're not tracking the numbers it takes to get there. But when you figure out your numbers, you know what work you have to input the equation to get the output you're looking for. It simplifies everything because you're no longer like throwing it all at the wall, seeing what's sticking. You have a very strategic game plan every day, knowing that I have to send 50 host to post messages. I need to send 50 follow-ups. That's going to achieve those things. I know that I've got to get 7 host to post up because when I get 7 host to post up, I know I'm going to get 2 potentials. So that's that goal. I got to get 3 reels up, one at least about this, because I know when I do that, I'm getting people in my inbox. And then if I get 20 new names every single day, I know I'm signing a customer every 3 days. Once you figure out that, you're not trying to do what Sally's doing, what Amber's doing, what Katie's doing, what anyone else is doing, because you know your numbers, you know what you're doing, and you know where you've got to fall. Once you figure out that, then you have to set that as your bare minimum. Because my bare minimums is what's going to get me the bottom line result I want. But we're not a bunch of average folks on here, are we? We want to show up above and beyond. And so once you know your minimums, you know how to exceed above that. If I know I need to send 100 messages to get the results I'm working on, then that means on my good days, I'm sending 125. I'm sending 150. But that means on my bad days that I know my number is still 100 and I'm not going to stop till I hit that. And so once you find that number, it gives you that level of accountability. And so I had something else that totally just left my head, but I'm going to let you go now.
No, but you guys, it's just so important because it does 2 things. Number one, when you know your number, you can then take the feelings out of the work, right? Because you know, okay, if I send 100 host to post messages a day, I'm going to get X amount of host posts, which is going to get me X amount of customers, right? So if you're in that zone, you don't have to worry about, oh, I sent 100 messages today and nobody answered. Okay, well, maybe I'll send 100 messages tomorrow and double the amount of people who answer, right? It takes the feeling out of it. But number 2, it's going to humble you real flippin' quick, okay? Because here's the first part of the homework of today, you guys, is I want you to do this every single day and stay on top of it, okay? This only works if you track it every day that day, okay? It does not work if you go back in and do it for the last week, okay? So every day you're going to track how many messages you're sending, how many host to posts you get up, how many reels you're posting, and how many potentials you have. Because this is going to tell you, and you guys, if you're just starting, you need to track how many posts you put up too. Go ahead. Track the things because this is going to tell you, because I've talked to 3 different people today that are like, I just don't have a lot of potentials. No one's buying. No one's doing the thing. No one's commenting on my stuff. And so I want you to take 30 days and track what you're doing. Track it. Because I bet if I came to you right now and I said, hey, how many reels have you posted this week? Raise your hand or put a 1 in the chat if you've posted at least 7 in the past week. Raise your hand if you posted at least 14 in the last week. Okay?
Mariah's like, yes, I'm having days.
Okay? Same thing with host to post. Raise your hand if you have at least 10 host to posts for the month. Raise your hand if you have at least 20. Raise your hand if you have at least 30. Raise your hand if you have at least 40. Raise your hand if you have at least 50. Okay? You guys, we know this because we track this. Right? And we don't say that to be like, oh my gosh, we're so wonderful. But we get messages all the time. I just wish I could enroll like you do. I wish I could enroll like you do. And the event that we went to, that just one of the things that like stuck with me forever is they said, you want to do what I do, but are you willing to do what I did? Because a lot of times we want the end result without doing the other things. And so you guys have to track what you're doing. You have to look every single day and write down how many posts did you do? How many friend requests did you send out? How many reels did you post? How many host to posts did you get up? How many messages did you send? How many potentials do you have? Because a lot of times if you get to the end of the month and you're like, oh, I haven't even enrolled my Focus on 5 for $500, which we'll get to that in a second. But if you're like, oh, I haven't even got there, and I said to you, hey, how many potentials do you have? And you're like, well, 2. Okay, well, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. That's the problem, right? And so a lot of times, though, we set our goals too small. Because here's the deal. I know some of you, at least 2 of you on here, have said my goal this month is to get my Focus on 5. Great. But why can't you do more? Because guess what? If you go for your Focus on 5 and you miss, I'm so sorry, but you get nothing. I mean, you still get other things. You get like probably 200, but you don't get it. But maybe, what if you set your goal for 10 and you say, you know what, I'm going to bring in a whole brand builder of volume this month, and you miss it, you still got your Focus on 5 and you still probably made $600 this month. I'm so sorry, but $600 a month, September, or no, what month are we in? October? Yeah. October, November, December, that's $1,800 by Christmas. How many of you would that rock your world? Would that give you a Christmas you've never had before? $1,800 is a ton of money, but you guys are setting your goal so small that you miss and you're like, well, this isn't worth it, right? So set your goals bigger. I want every single person, I want your goal 10 enrollments. Every single person on here can do that, okay? And so we're gonna take it back, okay? Here's the other thing that I'm gonna tell you about for the next 30 days. We're going to be very intentional about making sure you guys know what to do every single day, okay? There are 4 main things you need to do every single day in this business. It will not come as a shock to any single one of you, but we're going to talk about it, okay? Number 1, this is what we'll be talking about next week, okay? So the next 4 weekly Zooms is going to be about each of these 4 topics and different parts about it, okay? Week 1, next week, is about posting. This is about posting on your page called static posts. This is about posting on your stories, and this is about posting TikToks and Reels, okay? You need to do all of those every single day. Got it? That's number 1. Number 2 is about messaging. Message people to join your team. I send 75 messages a day, ask people to join my team. And guess what? I get at least 5 people answering back and saying, yeah, tell me more info every single day. Do you know the compound effect of that? That's 150 new potential brand partners every single month. That's a lot. That's over 1,000 in a year. Okay? So I send 75 messages for that, but you're also going to be messaging for referral posting or hoster posting. Okay? I'm so sorry if you do not like it. Do it anyways. Sorry. You got to do it. Because a lot of you guys do not have the network to sustain not doing it. Okay? If you are blessed with a 10, 20, 30,000 following on Instagram or TikTok, you may not need host to post, but most of you are just starting getting things going. You need to do host to post, okay? Number 3, growing your network. You need to actively be interacting and adding new friends every single day. Because otherwise, you're going to go fishing in the same dang pond that never gets any bigger, and once all the fish are gone, they're gone, okay? You got to add some new fish. You got to get to a bigger pond. Got it? The last one is following up. You have to get this in order. You have to get a system that makes sense to you. We're going to talk about different systems that you can do for following up because there's no one perfect system. The only system that matters is one that you actually do. Okay? In my almost a decade of this business or this model, whatever you want to call it, I have done 742 million different follow-up systems. Do I have one that I'm going to tell you works the best? No, because I change my mind about every 2 months. Okay? I don't know. I'm doing something right now that I probably won't do next week. I don't know. But you have to do something, okay? So next week, we're going to talk about all the things posting. The week after that, we're going to talk about messaging. Week after that, we're going to talk about growing your network. Week after that, we're going to talk about following up, okay? That's what we're doing. So we wanted to do this Zoom, and we're not going to keep it very much longer because you guys, we just wanted you guys to know that every single day you have to choose to be successful, okay? What I want you to, we just have to get it through our head. It's almost like your full-time job that if you don't go, you're not going to get paid. You don't have sick time here, right? I'm so sorry. I love you so much. You're passive. You're, what's that? Not passive.
Residual.
Residual. There's the word. Yep. Your residual income will still pay you on your sick time. But if you're actively growing, you can't live life in sick time. Okay? And I've said this on 7,000 Zooms in my lifetime, but if how many of you guys, if your boss told you, hey, I need you to stay an extra hour a day for the next month, and I'm going to increase your paycheck $1,000 this month, would you do it? Every single one of you would. Okay? And then if they said, and if you do that for 3 months, I'm going to increase it to an extra 3,000 a month. Would you do it? Absolutely, yes, you would. But you're not willing to invest that in yourself because you don't believe in yourself to that extent yet. So you need to work and do the things because the belief in yourself will grow. Okay? And the last thing that I want to leave you with before I let Mariah take over and say whatever God tells her to say, because it's always makes my soul very happy. But you guys, you need to get to a point that you just don't care. You don't care what people think. Okay, I saw Katie, who's one of our uplines, she said, I decided that I'd rather go on 4 vacations a year completely paid for by my company than think about what my Aunt Karen might think about what I'm doing. You just gotta not care, okay? And you gotta get loud. You gotta get loud on your social media about what you're doing. And you also have to get loud in our team chats, in your personal text with Mariah and I. Let us know where you're at. Let us know what you're doing, what you need help with, because there is nothing more exhausting. And I do it because I love talking to you guys, but there's nothing more exhausting than when I message people and I'm like, okay, update me, tell me how things are going. And I hear nothing back. And then 2 weeks later, I'm like, oh, they text me and they're like, it's just nothing's happening. And I'm like, well, yeah, nothing's been happening in our text chat for the last 2 weeks either. Like, I don't know. I don't know what you've been doing. I don't know. Right. And so get loud, talk to us, tell us how things are going, tell us things you're trying. See it, like, keep us updated about what you're doing because fire likes fire. Right. And if you're talking to me and I'm talking to you and I'm like, okay, well, I did this, this, and this today, and this worked really well. And then you're like, cool, let me try that. And then tomorrow you're like, wow, that worked really well. Right. And then that catches on. Right. So you've got to stay close to the fire. Keep in touch with us. We are not some scary people. Okay, we are not too busy for you. I had one person tell me that. She's like, I don't want to bug you because you're too busy. I'm like, I don't give two fudges if I'm busy. If I'm really busy, I'll put my phone down. I'll check it when I'm laying in bed. It's fine. I'm not too busy for you guys. Mariah's not too busy for you guys. This is our favorite part of this job. I promise you, day in and day out, is helping other people and having someone come to me and be like, hey, I just paid off my credit card because you helped me. Hey, I just was able to pay off this debt. I was just able to do this. I was just able to do that. That's what makes our soul happy, is truly being able to make an impact on you guys. And so let us do that. Let us help you.
Yeah.
And cue Mariah.
Okay. I'll go back to like what I was saying before of like, you got to count yourself in because you're going to create a cycle that's going to prove yourself true. And so for so long, so many of you guys have been sitting on the sideline, especially coming from a previous company. I think there is a lot of wisdom that comes with experience, but I think there's a lot of baggage that comes with experience, okay? And I think the baggage outweighs the wisdom in a lot of cases, okay? Let's be honest, a lot of us are here because it didn't work out with the last company in some way, shape, or form. Maybe you had a little bit of success, maybe you had a lot of success, whatever it was, it still didn't feel and fuel your heart the way you want it. So it didn't work out. So that means you're leaving some form of a toxic situation, right? Who's ever been in a toxic relationship? Okay, you get in that next relationship. It does not matter how good that guy is. You still haven't figured out how to love yourself. You're still carrying that baggage. You're going to sabotage that. And I think a lot of us are still finding ourselves in that place where we are carrying the baggage from a previous relationship into this new opportunity and then getting mad at the opportunity for not giving us this glorious dream life. And the truth is we got to get rid of our baggage first. We got to count ourselves in first because you were told by experience time and time again that you could try, but it wouldn't be enough. It didn't matter how many messages you sent. It didn't matter how many customers you signed. Your paycheck still wasn't going to pay the bills. It didn't matter how big you dreamed. It didn't matter what you did. You still were going to be behind. And it's time that we let go of that because as long as we're holding on to it, we will always create habits to prove ourselves right. It is absolutely impossible to create a reality that you don't believe in. And no matter how much you want it and how much you're dreaming for it, if you're still believing that no matter how many messages you send, no matter how many customers you sign, you're never going to be enough. If you build it, it'll fall. If you hit the goals, they're going to crumble. If you bring the team, they're going to leave. If you're still living in that reality, it doesn't matter what you do to try to create your dream here. It's going to perpetuate that same cycle. You may build it, but it'll fall. You may bring the team, but they will leave. And it's nothing wrong with you. It's wrong with the cycle and the baggage that we're allowing to take root and continue here. Talking from experience, okay? And it's our job to heal. It's our job to figure out how to move forward. It's our job to decide that we don't want that ickiness, right? Because how do you go from a toxic relationship to eventually a happy marriage with a beautiful future? It's not by accident. You didn't just wind up having this lucky guy and then, wow, all your problems are gone. Like, right? It's something that you had to decide that you wanted to work for. It was something that you saw value in. You want someone in your future, whether you have it or it's something in your like what you want, but you want something in the future. You want that dream wedding. You want that dream family. You know what that looks like so vividly because you knew that you needed that. You knew that you deserved that. You knew that the toxic that you went through wasn't it, that you needed something bigger, something better, and something more beautiful. And so you did the work to change. You did the work to believe that you were worthy of love. You did the work to believe that you were going to show up as the best wife you could be when you were just a single little Pringle, right? Like you started doing the things that then led you to the dream life, the marriage, the redemption. This business is the same. You get to decide that you're just going to show up now and you're just going to start believing the slightest bit that the very next message is all I need from you. You believe that the very next message you send is going to matter. That's it. I don't need 10, 20, 30. I just need you to believe the very next message you send matters. And then you're just going to do one more. And then you're just going to do one more. And you're just going to believe that one more message is going to matter. You're just going to believe one more time that God can use you. You're just going to believe one more time that the person that is coming to you, you're going to do what is needed to do. You're just going to believe one more moment. You're just going to believe one more time. And you're going to do it one more time until eventually you realize that you haven't thought about believing in yourself because now it's second nature. Now those goals aren't far off, they're coming to you. And it's not because you did something special. It's not because you became someone special or anything outside of what you already were. It's because you finally decided to heal from the trauma and the toxicity. You've decided to bet on yourself again, to count yourself in. And then the thing is when we do that, we don't have to figure out the magic sauce because you perpetuate your habit. You create the life you believe you are worth. So when you change what you believe, your life and your dreams come together. It's not this equation we're trying to figure out of the message of this, the thing that you're missing is you haven't healed and you don't believe in yourself. You heal, you believe in yourself, then that means the work becomes fruitful. Not because of anything that you're doing, but because of who you are. It's because you accepted and believed in who you are, what your calling is, what God's got you here to do. You stopped showing up as this lie and this shadow of yourself, and you're like, you know what? No, I'm done. I'm ready for more. I believe I am worth more. I know God can do more in me than the past ever could have done or said or did, right? And when we start showing up, slowly healing, slowly believing in ourselves again, we start perpetuating the habits. We start changing moment by moment, one message at a time, one post at a time. The next thing you know, you're sitting there on a Zoom with a team of people wondering how the heck they're ever going to do this, wondering how the heck they're ever going to heal, how they're going to get out of that toxic relationship, how they're going to have a happy marriage one day. And you get to be on the opposite side of the screen and you get to look them in the eye and tell them how to love themselves again. And all the while, you're realizing that your whole dreams, they came true. You became that person. You walked into that life. You healed. You did it. And you're never going to see it happen. It's going to be moment by moment. It's going to feel real icky. And it's going to feel like you're stuck. It's going to feel like nothing's changing. But if you commit to just believing the next step matters, the next message matters, the next person matters, just one. I promise one turns to two, two turns to three, and you're going to be living a life so much bigger and different than anything you could imagine for yourself.
See what I mean? She didn't prep that. That's just wing it. That just comes out of her soul. I don't know. I just need her I'm gonna put her in my little AirPod. You know, like those Tony boxes? I'm gonna get a little Tony Mariah. Put it in there. Just listen to her all the time. You guys, we love you and we hope this inspired you and got you ready and got you like going and like fired up again, right? We just want you guys to see yourself the way that we see you. I can't tell you how many conversations Mariah and I have, and we're like, gosh, if this girl would just see her potential that we see in her, she would be insane. We have that conversation almost daily about you guys. Like, if she would just look at herself the way I look at you, where the Mariah looks at you, it would be like a girl on fire, right? And so we want you guys to get there. So we are so excited about these next 30 days. I want you guys to be tracking what you're doing every single day. We will be back here on Monday, 8:30 Eastern time again, talking about all the things posting. And we will see you then. Mariah, you want to pray us out? Sure.
All right, dear Lord Jesus, thank you so much for this space where we get to go closer in our knowledge of ourselves, knowledge of this business, and hopefully a little bit closer to you as well. We're so excited for this group, what you're doing here, for the people on live, for the people who are going to watch the recording, for the people who aren't even going to get on that are within our reach. We are so thankful for them. We believe that everyone here is for a divine, ordained purpose, that you have something that is working miraculously in the background for them, that you are going ahead, you are paving the way, you are removing obstacles we don't even know are there. And I'm claiming victory for them this season, not down the road, which is going to come too, but I'm claiming it right now. I believe that we have decided together we're going to heal. I believe that we are doing the right thing. We are building with integrity, building with honesty, building with faith, and that you are going to bless the work of our hands. And you guys have heard me say it before, but Lord Jesus, if you're going to bless the work of our hands, I want us to be spreading Jesus germs everywhere. I want our hands on so many things that when the blessings come, when the rains fall, we are just so overwhelmed and humbled by the harvest that you're going to bring us, because I know it's there. I know it's in the work, and I know you're just waiting for us to step up and step out. And I'm believing for it. I'm praying for it. I'm so excited to watch it unfold in their lives and our lives. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. See you guys next week.